times. We have with us a beautiful guest, Cristiana Eltrayan. She works as a therapist. She is also an international holistic speaker and an author. Additionally, she often travels for opening and maintaining energy portals along the planet, following the planetary energy lines and also the cosmic rhythms. These works are the result of the inner guidance that the author is receiving regarding these energy works. Her workshops and classes have as a main theme the energetic nourishment, the Taoistic emotional intelligence, and pranic methods of healing and recalibration, converging to the consciousness of unity. She combines the ancient knowledge with the modern scientific discoveries to bring a complex and complete picture on the unlimited nature of human potential. Since 2009, she has been studying the pranic nourishment, and, uh, and since 2013, she is offering lectures and classes on this subject. With her work of the Soul Healing Academy, she has created several projects, including the Pranic Consciousness Summit, the Pranic Festival in Romania, the Pranic Festival in India, the Pranic Consciousness Process, the Energy in the Harmony Holistic Educational Program for Children in schools for more than 14 charity and ecology campaigns called It's Better with Love. So she has done numerous programs recently, and she is also author of 5 books: The Pranic World Book and Darkroom Retreat, and also Get Seduced by Your Own Life. And there are two more Romanian books she has authored. With this, I welcome Cristiana to Pyramid Times show. And welcome, Cristiana.
Thank you so much for having me and for the kindness of inviting me in your show. I'm really, really connected to pyramids and I love to be in all um, platforms that, are connected to this subject. So really honored to be here.
That is so awesome. And today's topic is going to be on pranic nourishment. So, what is prana and pranic nourishment, Christiana?
That's a great question. Prana is an ancient term that many traditions have used to define energy. So it also is utilized in scientific language, but it's called the vacuum field or the energy field. It's used in other traditions as mana or life force. In the Taoist tradition, it is called chi. It is basically the life force that runs through us and through all life forms that keeps us alive and conscious. Is the energy that you intake with the breath, but you also emanate through your body. So this is how I would define prana. Pranic nourishment is the ability to be nourished by this energy. So when your channels and chakras are aligned and cleansed and the frequency of them is fine-tuned to the degree that they can circulate the prana correctly, then you no longer need so much physical food. And there are also people who don't need physical food at all because they feel completely connected to this field of prana, to this energy field, to this vacuum field, if you will, that is basically creating all our cells or our atoms or our structures, and it's also nourishing them. So the people who are in the state of connection, they no longer need to take external energy in the form of matter to feed their cells because they are aware of their connection to that energy in the energetic, more subtle form, and they are able to nourish from that.
That's
So
so
that would
amazing.
be nourishment.
So, is this vegetarianism possible for all? How long have you been with this pranic nourishment?
I have seen people that have been in this state for 20 or 40 years, and I've met in India at the Pranic Festival in Pyramid Valley. One of my guests was Mataji, or a very, very ancient yogi. Pralajani was his official name. That has been in the state until he was 93. So for more than 75 years. I myself have been studying this since 2009, I believe, and I've been in a more liquid diet since 2016. Before that, I've been growing through the vegetarian, then vegan process, then more raw food, and then juices and liquid. Now I prefer liquid diet, as I call it. So I have one or two smoothies or soup per day. And that's my main nourishment. That's what my body feels most happy with. I also have days when I prefer to only have water or a very light tea, but mostly water. Like today, I don't feel to take any physical or external nourishment except for water, and this is when my energy grows even higher, and the real pranic state is being generated through this body. So it's been, I think, 5 years since I'm really living. The first time I've lived it was when I was 14. Was I was an adolescent. I had a month of very light nourishment back then. And the next time when I've experienced for most than a month not being able to swallow any solid food was in 2013. So that's when I've remembered it and understood it as a possibility because I've lived it. And since then, I've been juggling with, being a hybrid state. I wouldn't call myself or my colleagues breatharians because it's inaccurate, where we aren't nourished by breath, we are nourished by energy. Some get to the state where they don't need to breathe that much. They breathe very rarely, and you have your own records of the yogis that can stop their breath for a long time, or they can breathe very, very rarely. And even in that state, we still are nourished. So that's why I don't call it breatharianism, because it's not necessarily the breath that nourishes the body. My own state has been reminded to me in 2013, as I said, and has been a constant, mostly liquid diet since 2016. That would be the correct answer.
That's so nice. For a starter, how can they become a pranic nourisher? I mean, how can they nourish their body through prana?
Well, first of all, is to be aware that we're all energy. The mind needs to understand that everything is energy. When the mind understands this, then the rest is more simple. When you see everything solid, like the table and the bones in your body, that all is made of molecules and atoms that are joined together by life force. Basically, it's life force is your energy matrix that is keeping you together in this shape, right? As a girl or as a boy, you know, then you are aware that this energy is not only keeping your molecules together in this shape, and you're constantly waking up in the same shape every day. You're not a human in this day and a dog the next day, so the energy field doesn't make that kind of mistake, right? If that is possible, then it's also possible that your cells are nourished in a very, very light way. And when you see all matter, like the apple you're eating, or the vegetables, or the milk you're drinking, when you're seeing it as energy, as molecules and atoms joined together, then you're aware that, wait, I'm taking energy from the outside in a more solid, denser form, and I'm putting it in my body. And then my body has to destructure it and restructure it into calories, and it has to then discard the waste, and that's a very complex and complicated process, and it's requiring me a lot of energy to do all that, and do I really need it? So then you ask yourself this question, and then you notice how it feels when you're fasting. And at the beginning of the fasting, so many people feel a little dizzy, or they go through detox processes and they don't feel so well. But then as they detox themselves out of all the junk, they start feeling more and more energized when they are fasting, or when they are on juices. Why? Because they're not really fasting, they are nourished by this alternative uh, source of energy that is no longer external, it is internal. So your own energy, the energy that you're capturing from source and running through your chakras, is starting to really make itself felt, and you're starting to feel, wait, I have only one orange juice per day, yet I'm very, very energetic and I can do all my tasks. Why is that happening? Well, this is happening because you've cleansed your system, you've aligned your chakras and your nadis or energy channels, and you're finally tapping into the alternative source of energy, which is uh, less dense, and it is the prana source. So those would be the first steps. First, to understand and believe that it is possible, and research so that you see how you're literally made of energy, and everything is an energy system, even the things that feel more dense or more solid in your body. Second is to purify your body, otherwise you're gonna, die if you stop eating, because you're not tapping into the life force source. You're still needing physical food. So purifying and detoxing your body is really, really necessary, and that's what we teach during the Pranic Process Online. Purifying the emotional field, getting rid of all the emotions that are pushing us to emotional eat or to binge in certain foods. That's what causes most people to eat, actually. Most of the eating is emotional, and some of it is a necessity. But if you look at the quantity, you would notice that, you know 70% of your food you're eating for habit and emotional reasons, and 30% maybe you really need it. And that 30% might be the healthy stuff, and the junk stuff is the emotional part of your eating, right? So once you've cleared your emotional system and clarified yourself on the emotions that are generating the the food habits, then you're able to drop the foods that no longer serve you, and that's how your diet naturally becomes lighter. And then purify your mind and your mind streams, and um, the thoughts and thought patterns that are judgmental, that are negative thinking, self negative thoughts, or negative thoughts about the world. All that is cluttering your field, making you interrupt your energy flow. All that needs to be discarded, and then the energy can flow harmoniously. And that's when finally you're tapping into source feeding or pranic feeding. So it's a process. It doesn't come overnight for most people. It takes training, and it's basically the very training that yogis and Tibetans and Qigong masters have shared for millennia. Only they haven't focused on dropping food, because that's not our goal. That's not my goal either. I'm not teaching people how to drop food ever. They might or might not reach that state, but we are teaching all of us since millennia how to drop the things that are not necessary for you in the body, mind, and emotions. And when you drop all that, naturally you're source fed, and you're no longer needing so much food, or you're no longer needing food at all. That's why so many meditators, if you've noticed, so many meditators are naturally becoming vegetarians at some point, because they can no longer take denser frequencies, like the denser frequency of the meat. Most of them also, over time, if they really practice something like yoga or breath work or pranayam, they naturally become vegans over time, because they no longer need milk and dairy. They feel how their bodies is becoming heavier with that, so naturally they drop that. And then naturally they feel like, oh, maybe I should do some intermittent fasting, or maybe I should do some juice diet for a while, naturally, because their body is raising the frequency, and their mind is clearer, and the emotions are less cluttered. So they naturally move into that state over years. If you notice, in ashrams or in your private communities, this naturally happens. I'm checking back in my colleagues, meditation colleagues, since 10 years ago. They've all gone lighter. Back 10 years ago, when I was doing all my detox and all my processes and purifying myself, they would still be on heavy vegetarian diet, using fried products and eggs and dairy. And they wouldn't agree with my diet. Maybe they would always say, you always need some calcium, you need to drink milk and blah blah blah. Now they all gone either vegan or raw or on juices naturally. I didn't have to convince them. They just did their practice for 10 years. Their body purified, their mind clarified, their emotions are lighter. Naturally they shifted into the diet that I used to have. So it's all happening by default if you purify your systems. That's my organic way of becoming pranic, and that's why I support people to do.
That's so amazing. I myself feel that purer vibration when you are speaking to our viewers, or in general, whatever the videos I have watched, I could see that lightness in your being. That's so amazing. And what are the spiritual practices that one can develop to have a light body?
The body of light is something that I really, really enjoy speaking about. We are beings of light. We have come here on this planet with various missions or just for fun to experience what life on earth is. But we have to be aware that we've incarnated as beings of light in a physical body. So we all have a body of light or an energy body, all of us. It has been called the body of light or the rainbow body, however you want to call it, in various traditions. The Tibetans were always saying that to touch the state of having the rainbow body or imbue your physical body with so much light that it becomes a light body, you have to hold only positive thoughts for several years, like many, many years. Do not have one negative thought for many, many years in order to hold that state. Why? Because your mind is connected to your cells and it imprints certain frequencies in your cells. And the more you hold a positive mindset and a clear mind, the more you raise the frequency of your physical vehicle. So that's the first step. Cultivate mind mastery and the healthy mindset. And I'm not talking only about affirmation and faking till we make it, because that's not going to work. It's a more in depth process that is very much described in your yogic treatise. If you look at your Yoga Sutras of Patanjali or what Osho speaks about the mind, that's very important to look at because that is true, and that is the truth of how to tame and organize the mind and use it as an instrument and not be used by it. So that's the first practice that I would recommend. Master your mind. It's almost the most difficult, but it's the ultimate stage. So I've started with the ultimate stage, and until you get there, you have to also purify your body, drop the habits of eating meat. Even if it feels uncomfortable, drop meat and dairy products and animal products. It's a necessity. You have to detox your body. It's a must now. It's no longer optional, especially with the illnesses that come on the planet these days. It is obvious that we need to treat our bodies differently. It's no longer an optional thing like maybe I will, maybe I won't. No, if you won't, you'll die. It's simple. And I
Yes.
say it with a smile because I don't see that as a bad thing. It's a transition to a more evolved state where you're going to accept the reality that you're energy. It's all that. So, but going back to the steps that you were asking about, purify your body, start dropping the heavy foods, start dropping the animal products, start doing asanas in yoga to open up your channels and maintain them clear and active. The nadis, the channels that are connecting the chakras. So yoga practice daily is very necessary. Start using detox plants in Ayurvedic systems. In India, you have all details about detox. You can use that, or you can search on the internet of detox plants. I'm not referring, however, to plant-based medicine. I'm not referring to ayahuasca or anything else. I'm not using that. No, I'm referring to like basil tea or tulsi, or you have many plants that are cleansing the digestive system, or the Shamprakshalana technique where you drink salt water until it goes out clean on the other side. All that stuff that has been practiced in the yogic systems for purifying and aligning the physical body, that is necessary now to start doing. And I've been doing it for 10 years. I now use, instead of salt water, I use sauerkraut juice, which is even more potent because it's also probiotic and it has all the B vitamins, but the effect is the same. I drink 2 cups, it purifies my whole digestive system instantly, right? Very simple. So purify your body, do the asanas or the qigong or the yogic practice for energizing and opening the channels. Work with your emotions. Do not neglect or discard them because they are the main cause or your mind agitation, right? So work with your emotions, dive into them, acknowledge them, ask yourself, why am I feeling this? Where is it coming from? And with that, I help people with the one-on-one pranic process or individual sessions, and they discover things from childhood or other lifetimes that have been driving their behavior all the way through this lifetime, in various patterns that they couldn't figure out. Like, why am I having the same type of breakups in every relationship? Or why am I having the same type of jobs that I'm eventually dropping? Or why am I having the same financial issues no matter how rich I get? These are patterns that have to do with emotions and mindsets that you have to research on yourself. And once you remove these blockages, prana flows clearly through you. And last but not least, that I started with, mind mastery. Look at your programs, look at your sets of beliefs, ask yourself, is this belief still useful for me, or is it detracting from my well being? And if it's not useful, just drop it. No matter how long you've believed in it, like some people believe that meat is nourishing them, drop that belief. It's not true. You feel free to research and change your mind and look at the programs that talk about vegetarian and vegan diet, like the plant-based news YouTube channel, and you'll get all the reasons why you need to change that programming, and you'll change it, right? So those would be the steps in simple, in brief. I offer much more details with my program, the Pranic Process Online, where we take all these aspects and we go deeper into them and we do the meditations to clear them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so amazing. Definitely, we have to work on emotions and getting the mind mastery. And also, I have heard recently that speaker who has worked on many of the health issues of people in India. He says if we cut down the dairy products, then 50% of the hospitals will close in a year.
Yes, it would be possible. I'm not sure about the percentage. It might be even more. I'm not sure about the length of time. It might be even shorter. But yes, it's true that dairy products are causing a lot of mucus and a lot of imbalance in the body. And especially with the thing that is circulating on the planet now, that's cluttering the lungs, not having mucus in the lungs is very useful. And for that, dropping dairy products is very useful, by the way.
That's so amazing.
Mhm.
Uh, s- Sometimes I do wonder, this is out of my curiosity, I'm asking the question. Plants just live on the light, they transform the light into the matter and use the earth energy to sustain and grow themselves. I wonder we could also do something similar.
Yes,
What is your
we are actually doing human photosynthesis, and that's scientifically proven. So it's no longer a question, it's a truth that we have the same ability as plants do. So there are studies published about human photosynthesis. I have a colleague that has also written a book called Human Photosynthesis One-on-One, and it explains about this. There's a doctor in India that I appreciate very much. His name is Sudhir Shah, Dr. Sudhir Shah. He's the head of the neurology section in the main hospital in Ahmedabad. He has studied the yogi that I was speaking about. He has researched him for 10 and then for 14 days in his hospital, the yogi that was 70 years nourished by prana. So this doctor, because he had very good results with the yogi after researching him with 35 specialists, after monitoring him with all the newest technology that we have in hospitals now to check his body functions, after keeping him under strict surveillance with CCTV cameras, and everything has been ordered by the Ministry of Defense. So imagine the degree of security that was there. So after taking all these measurements of precaution, he has discovered that yes, the yogi was truly for 14 days suffering from human photosynthesis, where he's talking about how the cells how the human cells are actually producing more and more ATP when we consume more and more chlorophyll. So if we take liquid chlorophyll or we eat a lot of plants which contain a lot of chlorophyll, we enhance that capacity in our body. That's why going plant-based is actually increasing your capacity to extract energy directly from the vacuum, or from the sun, or from the ether element, if you will. That's why we're actually functioning very similar to plants to some degree if we purify our system and increase that capacity. It's natural.
So
Yeah.
yeah. Also,
Very
one
good
more
question.
question. Yeah. So one more question. So we are sustaining by sunlight. Is it related to our light body nature also?
It's directly related, yes, to our light body nature, because it is the light body that is perceiving and extracting and intaking that sunlight. But we have to go beyond the concept of sunlight, because there are countries where it's constantly raining or constantly cloudy, and still people there, some people are in this pranic state. I am having rain for like 5 days now. I haven't seen a ray of sun in days, and still I'm in a good state. I do prefer sunny countries, warm weather, and basking in the sun, but I'm not dying of hunger if I'm not having that. It might be necessary for some people to add a little more percentage of liquid or solid food when in harsh cold climate, if they haven't been fully stabilized in pranic state, but yet the food intake is not so much when your channels are aligned and open, because it is your light body, the one that I was speaking about, that is tapping into the energy field, and it's nourished directly from the energy field, independent of how much sunlight there is.
That's so amazing. It's enlightening as well to know all these subtler realities or subtler bodies or subtler dimensions that exist, and we exist in coordination with them. That's
Yeah.
so amazing.
And it's very necessary to know your system. So know your energy system, know your bodies. You don't only have the physical body, you have the emotional body, you have the, so first you have the etherical body, you have the emotional body, you have the mind body, you have all these other layers that are functioning as we speak. And the only thing you see is the physical body for most of people that are not clairvoyants, right? The clairvoyants see it all. But we only see the physical body, most people, and say, oh, I'm only that. I'm only flesh and blood, and the flesh and blood needs to be nourished by external, maybe physical, solid food. But think and learn about all the other layers of you that are made of energy, that are energy systems, and all of them are tapping into the energy field and are being nourished by it. So your whole other systems are sustained by energy. And if you purify this system, the physical part, it will also be nourished by energy from all the other layers of you. So all the other layers of you are supporting and sustaining your physical body, and they can nourish it.
That's truly amazing. I would also like to know more about your work. Can you speak about soul healing and holistic therapy?
Yes, absolutely. I love to speak about that. It's my work that has been given to me since 2012, I believe, 2011, 2012. I was studying various healings modalities. So these things that you see behind me are like one third of the healing classes that I took. I've worked a lot on myself to heal myself and to upgrade myself. So I was going to all these classes. And after I went to a theta healing class twice, um, a method has been given to me that has evolved from theta healing, and it was little more complex, a little more in depth, that it was working with all the lifetimes in parallel. So not just this lifetime, but all lifetimes in parallel were being addressed from the level of the soul. And so we centered people in their self or divine self or soul, and we help them with a guided meditation at the beginning of the session to center deep into their soul frequency. And from there we start discussing their issue, whatever it is. It might be a couple, a career, a financial, a health issue, or whatever it is, a physical issue. We discuss it from that level of knowledge and consciousness, and then we see all the causes through all the lifetimes where the similar issues appeared. And when we figure out the cause of it, whatever has caused that issue, so say you're breaking up in the same way with all your boyfriends, or you're having, like I would say, the same financial problems no matter how rich you get, when you discover the cause of that pattern, you discover how you played it on and on through various lifetimes, and you can then destructure it or deprogram it. So we help them after finding the cause, we're finding the main program and we deprogram it. We replace it at the mind level with something more beneficial, and at the energy level with a different frequency. So we work on both structures. We work on the physical body, the mind, and the energy to change that frequency. So it's very complex and in-depth um, work that doesn't take more than 1 hour and a half, but it's very profound. So the session takes you from a basic day-to-day problem, and it moves you through all the lifetimes maybe and all the patterns, and you end with a very complex and in-depth understanding of how you create your life and your patterns.
That's so nice that you change the DNA of the people and also the belief work that you do and also feelings that you download for the individuals to work on their own different levels of their imprints. That's so amazing.
Yes, yes. That's so beautiful that you've been able to see that. We actually do work at the level of DNA and beyond, but I haven't mentioned it because, if you can't measure or monitor it, people become skeptical. But it's very true that when you influence the mind programs and the energy, you actually influence the DNA and it shifts. Yes.
That's so
Thanks for
amazing.
mentioning that.
Yeah. And also, as a peace ambassador at Embassy of Peace, what are one's responsibilities and how you are operating that?
Well, the main responsibility is to maintain a state of peace within yourself, to be able to convey that to people. So that's what I've been working on for the past 10 years. That's my main task. But because you can't be a master of something if you don't master it yourself, right? And above and beyond that, there's been these programs that I've been teaching since 2013, the Pranic Process Online. That is helping people to maintain purified body and a higher frequency here on earth, and therefore is generating a state of peace in them. And so teaching this program has helped hundreds or even thousands of people to rebalance themselves, to go into a lighter diet, to go into a lighter mindset, to work with their emotions and relationships, and to understand their role and mission here. That is not only going to a job, coming back, making love to your partner, and falling asleep. It's much more than that, right? So people have stepped into their soul's mission. They have stepped into alignment with their life programming, and now they're really following a higher path. And that's what the program has done for 7 or 8 years now. And also the campaigns that we've organized, with the humanitarian campaigns, the ecological campaigns are part somehow of that job, even though they haven't been under the umbrella of the Embassy of Peace. Whatever brings peace to the world and people, to the smallest degree, like the people around you, the family, the loved ones, the friends, to a larger degree, like the thousands of people that I've been speaking and holding conferences to, all that is part of my job as a peace ambassador on this planet. Yes.
So how does one become a person like you, a peace ambassador?
Cultivating peace within yourself. That's the first
That's
step.
awesome.
So
Awesome. Thank you.
following the 8 steps of the Pranic Process Online would be a great start, starting to work with yourself, starting to go in a lighter diet, a lighter mindset, and going deeper into that state. That's the first step, of course. And then there are higher trainings that the Embassy of Peace is doing, but that's that's something to be approached when you are in that state of peace yourself, or coming closer to it. But maybe nobody is in a state of permanent peace all the time. That would be the Christed state. But we
Yes.
aim for it and we cultivate it more and more. And that would be a good start. Start cultivating that within yourselves.
It's so nice, Christiana. And I do hear a lot of pranic healing, light healing, or global energy healing. How do they help healing of the planet at this point of time?
We are the planet. We need to understand that we and planet are one. That's the first step, right? When we feel separate from the planet, we start destroying it like we did for the past hundreds of years. When we start to understand that we are the planet, we are the very inhabitants of it, but not only inhabitants, our energy bodies are directly connected to the chakras of the planet that also has an energy body. Our physical system, the body of flesh and blood, is made of the same elements like the body of Gaia. You have the same elements in your body: earth, water, fire, air, ether. You're made of the same things. Once you perturb, you derange, you make one of the elements of the planet malfunction, your body is going to malfunction. That's a direct connection. So, to understand that is the first step in helping the planet, to be aware that everything you throw out there is influencing the planet, therefore, is influencing back your body instantly. Not over 50 years, not your children and grandchildren. It's you now that is being influenced by your deeds. Hence the pandemic, right? So understanding that is the first step. Then my work with the planet is, I always envision it as part of me. I see the body of Gaia and the energy body and her consciousness as part of my consciousness. The more I work on myself, I work on the planet. When I go to an energy vortex or a sacred site like the pyramids in Giza or the temples in India, where we organize the trip of the sun in March. By the way, whoever wants to come with me and learn about these things, we have in March 9 to 11 uh, a retreat to a very important energy vortex or sacred site of India. It's not the usual temples that the ones in Khajuraho or Karnash or wherever people go and pray. It's a very uh, rarely visited temple that has to do with with cosmic beings and galactic and intergalactic connections. It's far more than than a sacred human site, right? And we're visiting every year there, and we're connecting deeper into the heart of Gaia. So whenever I go to such places, sacred sites, energy vortexes, I don't do something to them. I do to myself. I calm my state, I align my chakras, I connect to the central sun and the heart of Gaia, and then something opens in that specific site, in that energy vortex. But it's generated from within my being. It's not something that I operate externally on an external place. I'm operating in my internal structure, and it influences the planet. So if all of us would do that, if all of us would work with our chakras and our emotions and our energy field, the planet would be much helped. That's the main help that you can bring to Gaia. Work on yourself. You are directly connected to Gaia. It will influence her instantly, and you can help her a lot actually by working on yourself.
That's so
And
amazing.
less pollution, like don't drop your waste out there. That's not a garbage bin. That's your planet, your home. You don't drop your garbage in your home all over the floor. Don't drop it in your forest. Don't drop it in your waters. Don't drop it in the air, right? It's your home. You're not going to leave it until you're dead. So keep it clean, right? It's logical. Yes.
So whatever you have shared is very profound, and it's like we are interconnected to entire planet Earth, and whatever we are giving to planet is giving to ourselves, and it vice versa also.
Yes, yes. It's a direct connection. Like the way you're connected to your mother, right? When your mother gets ill, you feel imbalanced, the same as with the planet. You're
That's
not
so nice.
separate from it. Mhm.
And I do see you have written a book on Darkroom Retreat. How does this energy calibration and what is it significance help a person?
Darkroom Retreat, that's a practice I love. That's something I've been doing in Thailand. I wish it opens soon so that I go back and do it again. You can do it in various other places and normal living conditions. It's something the ancient yogis or the ancient Qigong practitioners or Tibetans were doing in the caves back in the days. So they had to face scorpions and snakes and various other uh, this uncomfortable situations. Um, and they would stay there for quite a few days or years to fine tune their systems. Now we have facilities with rooms where light isn't coming in, and you can sit in those rooms and meditate and then have some energy practices and have very little or no food or just juices and be in that state for maybe 7 or 10 days or 21 days in complete dark. And that activates certain hormones like melatonin and DMT and helps you see the unseen because your pineal is getting activated in a different way, opening your third eye, fine tuning your senses. You become more sensitive, you become more aware of the fields around you. Eventually, I was able to move through people in pitch dark without hitting on anyone, without bumping into the pillars of the room or bumping into objects, because you start feeling the energy fields, right? You start feeling like, wait, I'm approaching another solid object or a solid body, and I'm feeling the energy of it. So I'm going around it so that I don't bump into it. And it's not only that awareness, you become aware of all that is playing in that field, maybe the emotions or thought forms of other people, and how to manage your energy field in order to be in balance into all that noise, right? Energy noise, I call it. And you learn to maybe manage your sensitivity, because the more your sensitivity enhances, the more you have to manage it to not be affected by the emotions and thoughts of other people's. So it's a very important training, and you develop healing capabilities and mm, energetic capabilities that are, very, very important for your development as a light being here on earth.
That's so nice how this dark room experience will enrich our extrasensory perceptions and everything in that field we will get to know. That's so amazing. And
Soon we'll be having some in Romania as well, so people will be able to have that experience there
yeah,
as well. Because in Romania,
so
there's been an ancient tradition of darkroom practice back in the more than
yes.
2000 years ago. Yeah.
Uh, So we list out all the links below this video. Whoever is interested can go and check out the programs that Christiana is offering. And can you also tell out your target audience of the books you have authored?
So to say about the books, yes, I'm making
Yes.
sure that I heard the question right. Well, since 2013, since I got out of the darkroom, I started writing. I wish I did more of that, but I've written 5 books that are already published, and the sixth and the seventh, it's in the writing now, and it's going to be published when it's ready, when they're ready. So the first book is about the experience I had in Darkroom. It's actually called Darkroom Retreat, and you find it on Amazon. The second one is about how to get to a lighter diet. So I talk about vegetarianism, veganism, the three main gunas, the sattva and the other two,
Rajas, Tamas.
tamas and rajas, that are influenced by the foods and how you should pick your foods in order to generate certain specific states in your body. So then the food becomes an energetic information. It's not something just something solid that you're dropping into your mouth. So it's a conscious choice. It becomes a conscious choice. We're talking about handling your emotional states, your mind states. We're talking about our programs. We're talking about all the methods that I've used or some of the methods that I use to balance myself, and also about my therapies and a few tips and insights that I've extracted from some therapies that I've done. So it's a complex book, but it was written in a very simple way that everyone can understand for your self-help or personal development. The third one that is yet to be published in English, it's called Your Harmony Woman. I'm going to publish it soon. It's in Romanian now, um, and it's comprising all the tips and insights to harmonize your feminine side. It's going through from diet to superfoods and plants to essential oils to specific baths and pampering rituals to how to be aware of your emotional moods and your cycles, all those feminine tips that women really need, especially nowadays, to keep themselves in balance. So that book is coming up soon, and it's already in Romanian on Amazon. The fourth one is about miracles. It's called Believe in Miracles. And I've just written down just a few miracles or miraculous events that I've experienced because I know people need to believe in that and open up to more of that. So I've listed just a few in my book just for to give people hope and belief and faith that if something like that can happen to a normal person like me, then it can happen to everyone once you stay open to invisible realities or more than you see with your 2 eyes, right? And last one that is in English now is the Pranic World book. That's also on Amazon. The Pranic World book is describing various methods of going into the pranic state and various people who have achieved that state, because we're coming from different star systems, different star lineages. So each one had his own particular method, right? Not everyone is the same. Not everyone has a, a recipe that you give to them and then you're no longer eating. So we're describing all these systems and the pranic experiences that I've had and the pranic festivals that I've been and the gatherings and some other scientific, very solid proof of pranic nourishment so that people can get a glimpse into this reality. So we're going through all these things that I've experienced or learned in a nutshell in that book so that people can open up and learn about this possibility. And that's also in Kindle version, so it's easy to read.
It's so mind blowing listening to all of the topics that you have discussed in the books. Maybe going forward, I can do book interviews with you on a couple of your
Thanks
books.
so much. Thanks so
Yeah.
much. Oh, my newest books will be, one is the Book of Love. It's channeled from Christed consciousness, and it's written almost in verse or short phrases, but it gives very profound insights on love. Basically, tunes you into the frequency of love. Those of you who want to see insights from that book, just check on the Facebook page, The Book of Love. It has the Klimt, because maybe there's various pages. Mine has the Klimt kiss as the uh, profile picture, and there you find insights from and excerpts from the Book of Love. It's still in the making, but I'm already publishing some phrases of it because it brings people into that frequency, and I love to do that. And the seventh one is the second edition, or the second episode, if you will, of the Pranic World book. The first one was living free from hunger. This one is living free from fears. So we're writing about that now. It's going to be
So
published.
amazing. So hopefully the books will deliver the divine unconditional love message to the humanity.
Yes,
Yes.
they are.
And
Hopefully.
what is yes. And what is your message to the viewers at Pyramid Times or to the whole world? Final message, parting message.
Try to cultivate in you whatever opens your heart, whatever keeps you into the frequency of love and openness and gratitude and awe. There's still beauty in this world. There's still hope and joy and love in this world. There's still light coming in more and more now as we tune into ourselves. This is a time of fine tunement and plunging deep into our divine self. Try to stabilize yourselves into that frequency, and all that's necessary is coming to you as a consequence of that. That's my message.
Thank you so much, Christiana, for wonderful sharing today. It's
Thank you for inviting me.
beautiful spending time with you. Is indeed it elevated my consciousness in certain ways, and truly grateful for all the contribution you are offering.
I'm really grateful to meeting you, and hopefully for the people that are watching and whoever feels called, check my Facebook page, Cristiana Eltrayan.
Yes.
Tomorrow we're having a very powerful meditation, global activation meditation for the portal of 1212. So maybe you want to join that. Please join that. It's a good start to your personal development and spiritual development. Then we have another powerful meditation on 21st of December. It's still a global meditation. You might want to stay tuned to my Facebook page or Instagram page to get the links to access that as well. And on the 22nd of December, as we're preparing for Christmas, we're starting a Pranic Retreat, a Pranic Process Online. So you can join that for 8 days and be with us through Christmas and fine tune and purify and activate your systems for the Christed energy, the energy of Krishna and Buddha and Christ that has been on the planet, embodied in these three representatives, but is also embodied in us. And we're activating and amplifying that for this Christmas Pranic Retreat. So all that you find on my website, soulhealingacademy.com/events. So at the event section of the website, you find all of that. And you might want to join it if you're ready to, upgrade. That's
That's
what
so
I
amazing.
invite you to do. But maybe see you tomorrow first.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure, definitely. We'll join the global meditation. And
Tomorrow, 12 p.m. Bucharest time, 12 p.m. Romania time. That's when we're doing it on the 12/12.
good, that's great.
And it's
Can you
12/12 right now. The hour in Romania is 12/12 right now. It's so funny. Thanks so much.
That's so nice. Can you as well tell, please watch and subscribe to Pyramid Times?
Absolutely. Yeah, so that's a beautiful YouTube channel. I'm looking forward to also rewatching my interview, and of course, watch and subscribe and check my YouTube channel, Cristiana Eltrayan, as well. There's hit the notification bell over there to get all the information and not miss one of the beautiful videos that these guys are doing. Thanks so
Thank
much.
you so much. Yeah,
Thank
thank
you,
you so much, Christiana. Thank you.
and blessings to all. See you soon.